Very much. The gentlelady from Iowa, where agriculture, I hear, is a little important.
We grow and raise a few things in Iowa. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Madam Secretary, for coming today. And I want to start off by thanking you for coming to Iowa. We were one of the first states that you came to visit. You visited a hog
were.
farm in our state.
I feel a little like I'm having to pick my favorite child of my four. I've got 4 teenagers. I feel like I'm having to, who is your favorite? But I had an awesome
I get to
day in
brag
Iowa.
that because you came to
Yes,
Iowa,
yes.
so thank you so much. Really appreciate the conversations that you had on the ground, and you did really hit the ground running. I have 2 teenage boys, so I am particularly thankful for what you've done on egg prices because we were like having to go to market rate. We were like, you can only have one today. Very, very rationalized. You're protecting conservation, the assistance programs. I mean, you've really done all this while still respecting taxpayers in this process, which I really appreciate. But I want to hit on Prop 12. As you probably know, based upon your conversations in Iowa with our hog farmers, this policy out of California, Massachusetts had question 3. They've really created significant challenges for our producers. And I really appreciate your commitment to examining laws like this. But can you talk about some of the consequences for our farmers and producers if policies like this that are really state by state really start to flow down and impact interstate commerce issues?
I think it's really important, and no one is a bigger believer in federalism and the 10th Amendment and allowing the blue states and the red states and the purple states to be the laboratories of democracy. I think that's one of the geniuses of our founding fathers' vision when they wrote the Constitution. But when a state like California or other states passes laws that have significant impact outside of their state border, then that is not sustainable. And specific to Prop 12, we have understood that. We see it. I think it's pretty bipartisan, maybe not 100%, but very bipartisan across both sides of the aisle. That is not, it's just not sustainable. So having a federal approach to that, ensuring that we're protecting our pork producers, especially some of our other livestock producers underneath the regime of Prop 12 is important. So we'll keep working on that together, and I really look forward to it.
Yeah, well, and certainly I appreciate your commitment to federalism because we believe in that too, right? We want California to be able to regulate its own producers, but we don't want them to be able to tell Iowa farmers how to raise our animals and do their jobs. And we have heard a lot about that high cost associated with that, about $4,000 per sow. So then you think about other state laws kind of coming into the mix, and that creep that can happen is something we certainly have to fix. Do you believe that kind of patchwork policy, whether it's Prop 12 or other policies that could come down the pipeline, could put small family farms out of business if that's allowed to continue?
I do. And I think, again, speaking across the party line, across the aisle, that we're all focused on small family farms, regardless of what the lady said. I think that we all understand and agree that is the backbone of America, and there's no America if they continue to go out of business and not be able to hand off their farms to their children and their grandchildren. And when we put so much burden on them, now we're talking about regulation specifically, but other burdens along the way, it becomes an unsustainable way of life. And that's what we have to really target. We've already begun the deregulation effort, not just across the government, but specific to USDA with line speeds and some other decisions that we've made. And you'll see a much bigger package coming out soon to get the government off the back of our farmers.
Loved hearing that. I know our farmers love hearing that red tape is being cut every single day. So thank you for your work and leading on that. And
Thank you.
In the time I have remaining, I want to touch on an issue critical for national security. We already talked about China and the land ownership issues, but I want to talk about our ag supply chain for food because you look at, I was just recently on the ground at a mill in Iowa, and some of the food, their feed, right? They're trying to put together animal feed, and many of the bags had, Chinese characters. They're coming from China, right? All these additives. China does control the majority of the world's amino acids and vitamins. So what risks would our producers continue to face if we continue to have that reliance on foreign adversaries? Hopefully we get these trade deals done and things normalize, but realistically, we could be in some tumultuous times ahead.
We could be, and I think that's why President Trump's vision is so important, that if we continue down the trajectory of relying on other countries and other countries coming into America and buying our farmland, this is no longer just about protecting those who feed, clothe, and fuel the nation and the world, like some of the guys sitting behind me. It now becomes about national security. America will no longer be able to protect ourselves, be the world's economic superpower, if we can't stop relying on international and other countries to help feed and clothe us. And that can becomes extremely important. And I think one of the most important visions of President Trump that we have to effectuate if we want an America to give to our future children and grandchildren.
Well, look forward to working with you on how we
you.
can bring that supply chain home as much as possible to protect those who, as you said, feed, fuel, and clothe the world. So thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you,
I
Congresswoman.
yield back, Mr. Chairman.